what's going on, guys? It's your boy. Welcome back to another video. So today I'm going to be ranking my top 15 favorite movies that have came out this year in 2023. Throughout the entire year, I believe I've watched a little over 80 brand new movies, and for the most part, I would say I liked like a good 3/4 of them. I think that there was a good like 60 of them that I was like, yeah, these are pretty solid. There's about 25 that I'm like, oh my god, I love these, and then there's also about 20 that I really strongly disliked. But today we're going to be talking about the ones that I did like, and I'm just going to go ahead and give this little disclaimer right off the bat. I'm ranking these movies on how much I personally enjoyed them. This is mostly tied to the experience itself, going to the theaters to go see it, or if I watched it on a streaming service, watching it on streaming. And this is overall not me ranking, is this movie the best, highest quality movie? Just, did it accomplish what it's trying to do? If it's a comedy, did it make me laugh? If it was a horror movie, did it make me, quiver in my boots? That's what I'm looking for, and that's what we're talking about. So, without any further ado, this is just my opinion. If you guys disagree, feel free to disagree, and I would love to see your guys' list down below. But let's dive right into this. Coming in at number 15, I wanted to start this one off with the one that I know so many other people have probably not even seen and or heard of. It's the movie The Prom Pact. This movie, for people who do not know, was a Disney Channel original movie that came out the next day on Disney Plus with a little bit more mature content, a little bit more jokes that were a little inappropriate for Disney Channel. And I absolutely love this movie. This movie to me felt like Disney Channel realized some of their most talented actors were aging out of their movies and their TV shows, and they were like, you know what we're gonna do? We are going to take this really good actress and this really good actor, and we're going to put them in a movie together, and it's going to be a fun little coming-of-age teenage story with two socially awkward teenagers who don't really fit in well with other people, and we're going to give them two love stories. And it was a really, really good love story. It was a really good rom-com, and overall, very funny movie, great coming-of-age movie. I think that the little friendship that they had is absolutely adorable, and it's incredible, and I really like the fact that they bounce off of each other really well. And throughout the movie, the guy kind of struggles to realize that his female best friend kind of treats him like shit, and he goes out and he finds his own significant other and his own love interest, and that's a beautiful love story there. And then meanwhile, the girl is trying to get with this guy who she doesn't really like, but she's now slowly kind of becoming endeared to them, and she starts off by trying to, get in with him in not a very great way. And throughout the times of her falling in love with this guy, everything is rooted in a lie, and it kind of like comes crumbling down at the end of the movie. And as weird as it is to say this is a Disney Channel original movie. It is one of the movies this year that I got the most invested in. While I was watching this movie, I was literally like getting jittery over some of the sequences, because there was like moments where like stressful stuff was happening and there was like embarrassing things happening, and I was like, oh my god, what's gonna happen? And I just had so much fun with this movie that I wanted to put it on this list just so I could talk about it. So on to the next one. Coming in at number 14, this was a year of biopics. There are so many great biopics that came out this year, but one of the standout ones was the movie Blackberry. I absolutely love this movie. I think that this movie did such a great job of showcasing nerds being nerds, and all the like little engineering tech guys was great. This movie reminded me a lot of The Founder, which is one of my all-time favorite biopics that's ever came out. And I really just love the dynamic of the two people who originally owned BlackBerry, and the fact that they are really financially struggling, and they're really super far in debt, and they've made a bunch of really, really big mistakes that they really definitely need somebody to come in and save them. And then when the guy does come in and save them, and he's just a total dick the entire time, they have just like this interesting dynamic and balance of power that works really well. And I think the comedy in this movie is great. I think that the music in this movie is great, and I really just love all of the scenes where the nerd is explaining his technology and how it's going to work, and it's a very triumphant movie. I really, really love this one. Coming in at number 13, we have a horror movie. We got Scream 6. I really love this movie. I binge watched all of the Scream movies for the first time in the month of October because I wanted to, get in the Halloween spirits. And it was my first time ever really watching horror movies, and specifically slasher horror movies. And I really loved every single one of them. And this movie, in my opinion, was really, really good. I loved the action sequences. I loved all of the scenery. I think that they did a really interesting job. They were like, let's set this in New York, and I like the sequence where there's a girl trying to crawl across the ladder, and he's shaking the ladder or whatever. That's pretty terrifying. All of the subway sequences are so good. I love the twist villains. I think that they always do a really good job of twisting us and getting us with people who we wouldn't necessarily expect it to be. And I really enjoy overall the friend dynamic in this movie. I think that all of the characters work really well together, and I love it. I thought it was a great send-off for these characters and for these Scream movies, because they kind of shot themselves in the foot, and they're probably not making another one. Coming in at number 12, I made a video ranking all of the animated movies this year, and I think this one is one of my favorites. We got the movie Elemental. Personally, I think Pixar never misses. Pixar makes constantly good films, and I think that this movie is the best love story that Pixar's ever done. I love the slow burn romance here, where they're kind of falling for each other, but they can't really feel like they can fall for each other because one's fire, one's water, and their worlds can't really mix. And I love the way that they set up this entire romance of opposites attract, and I like the little character dynamics of the fire people being hot-headed people, the water people being very emotional, and I just overall like the way that they're able to make this world feel very close and similar to our actual world and address some problems that really still exist in today's society. And I think that it was a very fun movie, and all of the comedy sequences work really well for me, and the animation is absolutely stunning. I love it. Coming in at number 11, I had to include this movie because of the big box office weekend. We got the movie Oppenheimer. Absolutely love this movie. I went to see it with my sister. We did the whole Barbenheimer thing, and it was fantastic. I absolutely enjoyed this movie. I think that overall, the cinematography of it is fantastic. There's a lot of really good sequences. There's great, stunning dialogue. The atomic bomb scene is beautiful. The way that they are able to do symbolic sex scenes, something that is very heavily contested a lot, or people talk about it a lot, is, are sex scenes necessary? Should Hollywood do out without sex scenes, get rid of them and stuff? And this movie does a good job of creating a sex scene that actually impacts the story and feels like it needs to be there, which I really, really like. I like the full sequence with Cillian Murphy's character being in the room where there's a bunch of people discussing all these terrible things that he did and the fact that he was a cheater. And then it cuts away for a second and then he's naked in the room. And it's a very symbolic sequence, and it's very painful to watch, but it's by design. And I love it. It was a really, really good movie with a lot of great sequences like that. Loved this movie. Alrighty, and coming in at number 10, we have a surprising horror movie that I thought was absolutely fantastic. We got the movie Thanksgiving. This movie, once again, very slasher horror type film. I'm still getting into, trying to do the supernatural horror stuff. But for the time being, slashers, fantastic. I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was great. I went to see this on the same day that I saw Next Goal Wins, which is supposed to be a comedy. And this movie made me laugh way more than that movie. I thought that it was absolutely hilarious. I think that the team dynamics was actually fantastic. I think that these teens felt like teens, and it was a very fun movie with these kids kind of messing around and goofing around and not taking things seriously, with a killer who had a huge vendetta for them. And I love the opening sequence with the Black Friday massacre, and all of the kill sequences in this movie are so different from each other, and they're so unique that even though it's the same group of characters just being messed around with and being killed over and over again, it still feels ever so unique with every single murder that happens on screen. And the gore is fantastic, and some shots were really, really cool. I thought this movie was great. Coming in at number 9, I've heard so many people say that this movie is underrated, that at this point it's probably not underrated, but we got the movie Nimona. Personally, I thought this movie was fantastic. It was a Netflix original. This movie had a lot of very emotional sequences. It had a whole lot of heart. The animation style was beautiful. I love the fact that it was a little storybook. It kind of felt like a bedtime story type movie, but I liked it because it was a modernized, futuristic world, but there's Knights of the Round Tables and people being knighted, and they were going off to slay fairy tale creatures. And I think that it's a really interesting movie. I think Nimona, the main character, being a shapeshifter who has self-identity issues, is so symbolic, because somebody who switches, their actual physical form, having a hard time recognizing themselves in the mirror and knowing who they are as a person, is very beautiful. And her journey of self-discovery is very interesting. And the fact that, she's scared to be herself, and she's very conflicted about the fact that she's seen as a monster, so she feels like she has to be a monster. And it's just society's, telling people what they need to be or who they need to be. And it's very, very emotional. And I thought this movie was beautiful. And on top of that, it also has a really good love story in it. And the two friends in this movie, I think, work really well with each other. Coming in at number 8, as a history buff, I had to put multiple biopics in this list, and I absolutely love the movie Tetris. I don't hear enough people talking about it. I think it's one of the best movies that has came out this year. For one, something about these biopics that a lot of people really don't talk about that much is the fact that with every single biopic, they have a massive hill that they need to climb of the fact that we as an audience need to think for a second, or at least for a little bit, that there's a chance that this is not going to be successful, despite us knowing the real life story that it's based off of and knowing that it's going to be successful and everything's going to be okay with these characters. And this movie, I think, does it better than any other movie I've ever seen. The movie Air that came out this year did a good job of making Nike the underdogs, and right, like that was pretty good. But in this movie, it really makes us feel like Taron Egerton's character, the guy who helped bring Tetris to, Nintendos all across the world, could die at literally any given moment. I love this time period in history where it's the Cold War. Russia is at the height of its communist times or whatever, and people can't have their own ideas in Russia. People can't be creating new items in Russia. It's almost like creativity is not a thing that they're allowed to have in Russia. And so when Taron Egerton's character goes there and he goes to meet the guy who created Tetris, and the guy who created Tetris is like, I can't have any part in this. We can't discuss this. We can't do anything about this. It is very, very interesting seeing how he's able to overcome that. See how Taron Egerton and the guy who actually created Tetris were able to have this bond, and how they were able to come together to make something that really works. And he was able to help Taron Egerton get out of his financial issues that he needed by, getting Tetris. And then Taron Egerton is able to then return the favor and get him out of Russia, where it is very scary and it's not a good time to be living in Russia. And also, I think that this movie is stylistically beautiful. At the end, there's a car chase sequence, which I think is probably the best car chase sequence the entire year, where they're quickly driving to the airport so that Taron Egerton can get into America with the signed paperwork that they have. And this shot, the scene is just shot absolutely beautiful. They're showing above head shots, they're showing, regular behind this car shots, and then every once in a while there will be like a crash or something and the cars will like pixelate, and then we get to see it in like 8-bit graphics and stuff like that, and it is so stylistically beautiful, and the soundtrack was amazing. I loved this movie. Coming in at number 7, we have Mission Impossible: Dead Reckoning. I absolutely love this movie, and I feel like this movie is coming out at a perfect time because AI is a very, very scary threat, and I feel like the fact that they're able to really perfectly time this movie coming out with it being in the middle of the writer's strike, or being right before the writer's strike, I don't remember when it was, and AI being a really big deal in the news at the time that this movie came out, it felt just so scary. It felt like very not overwhelming. What was the word I was going to use? I don't know. It felt very like real. And it was very concerning because a lot of the moments and sequences that are happening in the movie, it's just absolutely terrifying. We don't know how, to react to certain things. We don't know if our characters are going to be okay. And they have a lot of moments where they're just like, well, are we the ones making this idea, or are we being tricked into making this idea by some algorithm that is smarter than us? And it has retroactively kind of became more powerful than the human mind can comprehend. And I think that it's just an incredibly cool threat. I think that Hayley Atwell's performance in this is absolutely incredible. She's so charismatic, and like she steals the show from Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise, he's like the actor. And Hayley Atwell steals the scene from him. I think this movie is fantastic. It has a lot of great comedy sequences in it, a lot of great action sequences, good emotional moments, good flirtatious moment. I don't know if I can say romantic moments, but flirtatious moments are fun. And yeah, overall just thought this was a really, really fun movie to go see in theaters. And now, coming in at number 6, we have Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles: Mutant Mayhem. I thought that this movie was so much fun. I think that the voice acting in it is fantastic. It has such a stacked cast, and originally you'll look at it and you're like, that's kind of concerning. They probably have a bunch of big name actors in it just to kind of sell the movie. But then you go to see the movie and they're all acting their hearts out in this. And I know it's an animated movie, but like it's just fantastic voice acting. The animation style is beautiful. I love the way that they make it kind of like gross and nitty and gritty because they literally live in sewers and they live in New York. I love everything with that. I think that the action sequences in this movie are incredible. The action sequence where they're going down a corridor to the song No Diggity and they're circling around the Ninja Turtles, and it keeps transitioning to them fighting a different group of guys in a different hallway, and it's just a really, really cool and satisfying action sequence. Absolutely love the movie, and I thought it was phenomenal. And now, starting our top 5, we got the movie The Hunger Games: The Ballad of the Songbirds and Snakes. I absolutely love this movie. I thought it was fantastic. I think that all the acting performances in it were incredible. And I really, really loved the movie overall. I think that the actor who played Cornelius Snow, Tom Blythe, absolutely killed it. I think this is his first big role ever, and I hope he gets so much more acting gigs. The guy is incredible. His range is fantastic. The way that he's able to play somebody who's kind and soft-spoken and compassionate to being able to turn that switch and be the full monster that he is at the end of the movie is really brilliant, and there's something really kind of cathartic there, and I absolutely love that. Viola Davis as a villain is incredible. She's so good in everything she was in this year. I think that Rachel Zegler's performance as Lucy Gray was fantastic. There was a lot of really good singing sequences in this movie. I loved the music and everything. The Hunger Games being played in like an old-fashioned arena that's not as well thought out as it is in the future. I really, really love the way that this movie simplified a lot of those elements of this movie and this world building, and it was really, really good. I loved everything about it. Coming in at number 4, I believe this is the last of the biopics, but this one's Gran Turismo. This movie's interesting because it's a sports movie, it's a video game adaptation, it's a biopic, it's all of the above. It's really interesting, and I really, really love the fact that they toy around with all of those elements. They have a lot of sequences that are heavily aimed towards people who play video games and think that, gaming is more of a thing that people should be passionate about. And I really like the fact that the father is always talking down and being like, oh, these video games, they rot your brain or whatever. And it's like, no, it doesn't. It's something that, being passionate about video games doesn't make you a lazy person. It makes you somebody who is just into a different medium and a different hobby, per se. And I really like that representation for a lot of people who play video games out there, that, they can finally be recognized as it's not useless to be playing video games. It's meaningful. And then I really like the fact that there's good racing sequences in here. If you're a big fan of F1, you should love this movie. Me growing up, I used to go see NASCAR races with my dad all the time, and I absolutely loved all of the sequences from racing in here. I think that it's just shot so cinematically perfect. I think that there's a lot of really good cinematography there, like the drone shots, the overhead shots, the sequences where we're watching the main actor playing and he's sitting behind a chair, and then all of a sudden he's on the actual racetrack and the cars materializing around him. It's so cool. I thought that this movie was fantastic, and overall it had something for everybody. If you want to cry, there are sequences that'll make you cry. If you are looking for something that's motivational, David Harbour's got some great pep talks in this movie for you. If you're looking for something that has a good love story, it's got that. If you're looking for some comedy, this movie made me laugh my ass off multiple times. I loved this film. Coming in at number 3, one of my most anticipated movies for the year, and I think it hit exactly where I wanted it to hit. We got the movie Barbie. I thought this movie was great. I think that Margot Robbie's performance was fantastic. I think that Ryan Gosling's performance was absolutely amazing, and I didn't get a chance to see a lot of the big comedies that came out this year. There was a Theater Camp, No Hard Feelings, Bottoms, and a bunch of movies like that are really big comedies that came out this year, and I didn't get a chance to see a lot of them. So to me, this is one of the funniest movies I saw in theaters. I watched it in a relatively packed audience, and there's a bunch of people laughing at everything. There was a lot of really good throwaway jokes, and I absolutely loved a lot of the one-liners. And I think that it's amazing how this movie is able to take something that a lot of people are seeing as a joke and have this comedy sequence that, once again, a lot of people just think that this movie is supposed to be funny, and then have the show of humanity when Barbie comes to the real world, and has that sequence where she's sitting around watching all the people have their moments where it's some people are sad, they're having a breakup or whatever. Some people are happy, they're playing Frisbee with their dog or whatever. And it's just her being able to see that, people are just so beautiful in their own ways, and life itself is just something that a lot of people take for granted every day. And I think that it did a really good job of opening a lot of people's eyes to that. And I think that it also did a really good job of being a political movie. It had a very important message to it. And I think that people who watch the movie and get it. And the people who don't, at least you have some comedy there that you'll enjoy. But coming in at number 2, this is a hot take, and I know some people are going to disagree with me, but I got Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse. Now, why is this a hot take, you may be asking? I know a lot of people are saying this is one of the best movies that came out this year. A lot of people are saying it's the best comic book movie that came out this year. Me included, I think it's the best animated movie that's came out this year. Absolutely love this movie, and I think it's great. I think it accomplishes a lot of crazy things. I think that the representation that these movies are bringing is fantastic. Getting Daniel Kaluuya to play Spider-Punk and have him bring in real life experiences that he has as, somebody who grew up in that area, and having people like the guy who played Pravikar Prabhakar, the Spider-Man India, and having him, have a lot of input on, hey, what was it like growing up in India and stuff like that. This movie is taking a lot of time to dedicate everything and make sure everything is perfect and it's handcrafted, and it's so beautiful. The animation is beautiful, the storytelling is beautiful. It's got a really cool villain, which I love. They took a Spider-Man villain and made him just an ultimate threat, and they tied him to Miles Morales very closely and personally. And I love everything they're doing with the Web of Life and Destiny. I love Miguel O'Hara in this. I think that this movie is incredible, and it shows what a superhero movie can be and the potential that superhero movies have going forward. And I think that it also just does a great job of showcasing that some characters work really well in animated mediums, and not everything needs to be live action. There are some cool sequences here with just Miles like straight up getting changed that they would never be able to do in live action, and I love it so much. But with all that being said, coming in at number 1, I have Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I think this movie's incredible. I think that the music selection's fantastic. I think that this movie is a more complete story. I think that we get to finally see Rocket's origin story, and it's beautiful. I think that we get to see a lot of really emotional sequences in here. We get to see the Guardians of the Galaxy who came together as this newfound family, kind of fully fall into place in their roles in this family. We get to see Drax becoming the father that he was always meant to be. We get to see Nebula being more of a caretaker and being a good friend and kind of stepping into the leadership role in this movie. We get to see Star-Lord dealing with his alcoholism and kind of realizing that he needs to be in the present, to be present with these people and to help them out and to be the best version of himself. And I loved everything about this movie. I think that every character got the final conclusion that they really deserved. I think that they all shined in their own moments, and I really think that that's such an impressive feat, because the Guardians of the Galaxy at this point in this movie was a team of like 6 or 7 or 8 people who all got their chance to shine. They all got a really satisfying conclusion, and it's just so impressive that James Gunn was able to do that. And I really like the fact that he defied odds, because everybody was saying Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3, all of the Guardians are going to die. Some of the Guardians are going to die. We all had predictions as to which Guardians were dying and in which orders and stuff like that. And James Gunn was able to make such an emotional movie without having to kill off any of the characters. And I absolutely loved it. It was a breathtaking film. And I think that a lot of people who think that superhero fatigue is real and think that superhero movies are just getting worse and worse really should be looking forward to what James Gunn is going to be doing in the new DCU, because that Superman Legacy film has potential to be one of the best superhero movies of all time, because in my opinion this movie is one of the best superhero movies of all time. But that being said, that was it for this video, guys. Thank you guys so much for coming by and checking it out. I love and appreciate you guys so much for watching every single time, especially those of you guys who stuck around for the whole video and are still watching. You guys are amazing, and I love and appreciate you guys. If you liked this video, feel free to like and subscribe. But don't feel pressured to. You guys don't have to, obviously. Your viewership and you guys sticking around the whole time was enough for me. I love you guys so much for watching. I'm gonna head out now. Peace out. Bow. Bow. Bow.
He wanted me to trouble first, I did this. We planned a day, and then we did this. Want to be in love with the girls with the kisses. Don't give a damn, I'll rid this. I like this when I run the distance. I run the 5K, you go ballistics. I want to live within the business. Buy more than what's on the clearances. You're getting paid because I know you're a physicist. I want to deny this shit. I'm unlimited.